Hey guys, in this video I would like to show you how to correctly claim a draw on a threefold repetition. And this can be quite an important topic because if there is a threefold repetition on the board but you fail to claim the draw correctly and your opponent deviates and you go on to lose the game, you have lost half a point there. So what I would like to do here is to first show you what the FIDE rules say, and then I will explain exactly what it means and show you some examples. So let's take a look at the FIDE rules. And it says the game is drawn upon a correct claim by a player having the move when the same position for at least the third time, not necessarily by repetition of moves, is about to appear if he first writes his move, which cannot be changed, on his score sheet and declares to the arbiter his intention to make this move, or has just appeared and the player claiming the draw has to move. So let's see what that means. So first off, you have to claim a draw. It's not a draw automatically, such as when there's no material left to win, right? When it's just king versus king, it's automatically a draw. You don't have to claim anything, but with the threefold repetition, you do have to make a claim to the arbiter. Okay? And then another important point is it's about position repetition, not move repetition. It doesn't matter if you have made the same moves a number of times. It matters if you have reached the same position a number of times. Okay? And then we have this important piece here, A is about to appear. That means if you are going to play your move and then the threefold repetition is the position is repeated 3 times, then it is a draw. But here it says don't play your move. That's very important because whenever you play your move, you've given out of your hands the chance to claim anything, really. So whenever you claim anything, it has to be your move. So you have to write it down on your score sheet. And in fact, this is the only time when you write down your move before you play it. Otherwise it's illegal. It's considered as taking notes, and this is illegal. So you write down the move on the score sheet and then you inform your opponent that you would like to claim a draw. You stop the clock, you get the arbiter if it is necessary. Most of the times your opponent will just agree. But let us consider an example that I have here from my not this position, from my game against Wesley So from 2013, from the Final Four. I'm black and the white pawns move in this direction. So it's not looking that good for me. I'm 3 pawns down in a rook in game, but still have some chances because his rook is right at pass. So I play rook h1, and let's just see what happens here. So this is the first time a position appears. Now this is the second time. And now it was my move, and I realized, very fortunately, that I can repeat the move at the position for the third time I'm playing rook h1. So what did I do? I wrote down on my score sheet rook h1, my next move to play. Then I stopped the clock and I told Wesley I'm going to I'm claiming a threefold repetition. I'm claiming a draw. And then we got the arbiter, we checked it. So this usually happens if your opponent doesn't agree automatically to the claim. You go over the game and you see if it was 3 times, and then if the claim is correct, it is a draw. And this is what happened in this game, and I was able to save that game because I knew how to correctly claim a draw. But now let us consider some nuances, some subtleties you need to know when the rule actually doesn't apply, when it is not a threefold repetition. So let's go back to the FIDE rules and scroll down a little bit. And here it continues by saying, I can't see it quite well. Okay, there we go. Positions are considered the same if and only if the same player has the move, pieces of the same kind and color occupy the same squares, and the possible moves of all the pieces of both players are the same. So let's dissect that one by one. And I have an example for each case. So the first part is saying positions are considered the same if and only if the same player has the move. So there was just recently a game between Magnus Carlsen and his best friend Hikaru Nakamura in St. Louis 2015. And let's see what happened here. So this is the first time the position appeared. Okay, now they play some moves, nothing much happens. And we get to this position, second time it appears. Okay, this is the exact same position just as the other one, and it's also the same players to move. But now watch what happens. And here we have the same position again, but now it's black to move. The other two times it was white to move. So that doesn't count. It has to be in all of the three positions, it has to be the same player to move. So Nakamura claimed a draw here, but it wasn't agreed, or they found it was not a free for repetition because it was incorrect. And what happens if you make an incorrect claim is that your opponent gets 2 additional minutes on his clock. Okay, so this is the first part. Now let's get back and see the next part is pieces of the same kind and color occupy the same squares. So that means, just to clarify that, if you have 2 knights on the board, I also have an example for that. If you have 2 knights on the board and they switch places, it is still the same position. So I just made something up here, so let's just see this. So let's say those 2 knights switched places, right? Knight from G1 goes to B1, knight from B1 goes to G1. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's still the same. It's still considered to be the same position, even though the knights have switched places, but it just doesn't matter. So, by the way, this is only the second time the position has appeared now, so if we keep on doing this, then now here black could claim a 3-4 repetition. And also one thing that I didn't mention, which is not that important, but let me just go back to the position with Wesley, just to illustrate one point. If I had played here rook h1, obviously he didn't need to take the draw, but if he wanted to, he could have claimed a draw here without even writing down a move. So if the position has already appeared 3 times, and it's your move, you can just claim a draw without writing down a move and without intending to make another move. But obviously it doesn't matter, because you might as well just play or write down the move that you're going to play, which is also going to repeat the position 3 times again. So one way or the other. Now let's get back to the last part of the statement here, which says and the possible moves of all the pieces of both players are the same, and even specify what they mean by that. Thus, positions are not the same if at the start of the sequence a pawn could have been captured en passant, and second, a king or rook had castling rights but forfeited these after moving. The castling rights are lost only after a king or rook is moved. Okay, we knew that already. So I also have 2 examples for that, just to illustrate and make that clear. Probably doesn't happen that often to you in one of your games, but it's good to know. And there was actually one game where that happened. Well, I'm sure there were many games, but one famous game between Karpov and Miles from Tilburg, 1986. And here black to move played rook a4, and in this position Karpov claimed a draw with his intention to play knight b5 back. But as it turns out, it is not a 3-4 repetition. Why is that? Because in the original position before black played rook a4, so in this position, the very starting position to 3-4 repetition, black still has the right to castle, which he then loses after he moves his rook. So in the final position it is not quite the same, because black doesn't have that right to castle anymore. Miles still took the draw because he's not better here at all. And they still agreed to draw, but the claim was still not correct, and this just illustrates it. And regarding the en passant, similarly, he also made something up. Black to play plays e5, and now the players just decide to repeat moves here. But we have this position here. Black cannot claim a draw by playing bishop f8, because once again, in the starting position here, white still can take en passant on e6, whereas in the final position he cannot. So it's not quite the same, but most of the time this will probably not happen in one of your games, so it's good to know. Also, there's one more thing, probably also doesn't matter much, but if for some reason you touch one of your pieces and then you suddenly realize, oh, I would like to claim a draw by threefold repetition, you cannot do it anymore. If you touch one of your pieces, it's over. You have to move that piece and then you lose your right to claim a draw. Alright, I hope this helps, and I hope that all of you in the future know the right way to claim a draw. And please let me know if you have any questions, if anything was unclear about this. But then I'll see you again some other time. Bye.